that the first page has a picture of a hand cupped around an ear that says "the massage?" And this is part of an apocryphal, possibly apocryphal story, which means possibly not real story, associated with McLuhan's text, that when he sent the book off to the publisher, when it came back, the medium is the message had been changed into the medium is the massage. And instead of McLuhan, saying, "Oh, this is terrible, they ruined my title," he was tickled pink because part of what he thought was interesting was about the medium is the message is that you can split message into two words, mess and age. And you can do the same thing with massage, mass and age. And so those two, different compilations, mess, age, and mass, age, totally encapsulate what McLuhan was trying to get at, which was that with electricity, with TV, with film, and with media, with advertising, that our age, our era had become a mess due to the mass nature of electricity, advertising, media, etc. And what he's really trying to focus on is technology. And electricity, media, advertising are just three examples of what he was getting at, because for McLuhan, any sort of technology or any what he calls extension of ourselves, anything that is non-organically created, in other words, anything that is created by humanity, also known as mankind, if you ignore the sexist overlays of that terminology, or synthetic, anything that's created, anything that's not organic, is a technology. So if you look around your room right now and look at anything that's near you that wasn't created by your body, that would be considered a technology by McLuhan. And so I want you to really hold on to that idea that technology is everything that is not organically created by the earth or by our bodies. So, I'm looking around what is in front of me right now, the pencils in front of me, the fork that is in front of me that I ate my lunch with, the cup that holds my water. Those are all technologies. The glasses that are on my face that you cannot see, that is technology. So we're trying to expand our understanding of what is technology from beyond the digital sphere, from beyond the cell phones that we use, from beyond the computers that we use, beyond the Wi-Fi that we use, to embrace everything that is technology, paper, ink. Actually there's a sewing machine in front of me right now. So that sewing machine is technology. So everything is technology that is not organically created. And I want you to really hang on to that as we move forward here in the next few weeks and in our semester. So let's go to the next page of McLuhan's reading, where you can see here almost all on the screen, the next word says, "and how!" exclamation point. So this is supposed to express McLuhan's enthusiasm about this subject. And I hope the enthusiasm that you too will embrace about this subject, about thinking differently about what is technology, what is new media. And it's not just what is new to us today in the 21st century, but what is just new to mankind in general from the beginning of time. So the language that I'm speaking to you in right now, the English language, that in and of itself is a technology. Many people in other countries and other places in the world speak different languages, and all of those languages are invented. They are all creations. They are all technology that enable us to change the scale, pace, or pattern of our lives. Because you all speak English and because I speak English, that is a technology that we can communicate with each other, and that's exciting. And how we can understand over the internet, over Wi-Fi, over our computers, the words that I'm saying right now in a different time and place from when you're listening to them is exciting. But if I was speaking in a different language, in a language that you didn't know, say if I was speaking in French or Arabic or Russian or Mandarin, is quite possible that you would not understand what I was saying. And therefore, everything I would be saying to you would be gibberish. But we're able to communicate with one another, even though we're in different times, even though we're in different places, because I'm recording this at 2:39 p.m. And you're listening to it at a different time, that we're able to compress time and space, that you're able to have access to the ideas I'm trying to communicate to you because we understand the English language, which is in itself a technology. But as we go on here, I'm going to move the screen here a little bit. We have the quotation here. It says, "The major advances in civilization are processes that all but wreck the societies in which they occur." This is another idea that McLuhan is trying to bring home to us, is that every time a new technology is created, society changes. Our personal and social relationships change, and they specifically change according to the scale, pace, or pattern of our lives. And I'm going to keep coming back to this. I'm going to keep emphasizing this over and over again so that it is beaten into your heads what it is he's trying to express, which is that all technology, the meaning of the message is the change that the technology creates on the scale, pace, or pattern of our lives. So here, as we go into the first couple pages of the book, we have here a picture of a woman's hand, and you can tell it's a woman's hand. She has a wedding ring on her index finger, or I'm sorry, that's not her index finger, that's her ring finger. But it says underneath it, 3 million toy trucks were bought in the U.S. in 1966. Now, what does that have to do with the picture? Not a whole lot, because what's interesting, if we draw attention to kind of the technology of the picture, is that we can tell that this is a woman's hand because of the length of the nails, because the nail polish that is on them. Those are technologies in themselves, because those nails have been shaped by a technology, a nail board, an emery board. They've been painted by a technology, a nail polish. They've been adorned by a wedding ring or an engagement ring, possibly, that tells us, even though we don't know this woman, that she is married, probably in 1966 to a man, that she is somebody who is entered into an adult relationship, an adult sexual relationship that is observed by our social and legal and our religious organizations within the United States. That means something to us. And so the scale, pace, or pattern of our lives has changed because we can tell, even from a distance of time, according to the traditions of our society, that this hand belongs to a woman, to a female, that has been brought up in a society that says women's nails should be long, should be cultivated by emery boards, should be painted by fingernail polish, and if she is an adult female, that she should have entered into a state of matrimony at this time and place with a man. In the 21st century, obviously, a wedding ring can connote different things because the legal ramifications of our society have changed as well. But what McLuhan keeps bringing our attention back to is the alphabet and print technology. And right here I've underlined the alphabet and print technology fostered and encouraged a fragmenting process, a process of specialism and of detachment. And what he's trying to get across here is the idea that books are technology too. And we don't tend to think of books as technology, but they are technology. And the alphabet is technology. The alphabet that we think of as technology. When the first printing press was brought to Western culture in the 16th century, the alphabet had almost 300 letters in it. We tend to think of the alphabet as having 26 letters in English as being a fact, as a truism. And that is not actually truth. The alphabet has changed over the centuries. the alphabet originally was meant to replicate handwriting because the mechanical text that was used by the printing press was trying to replace the technology of handwriting with the technology of printed technology that was different from handwriting, obviously, because printing presses replicated words repeatedly on pages in the exact same organization over and over again, several dozens, scores, hundreds, thousands of times to create several exact copies of the exact same image. But they were trying, printed technology was new in the 16th century, and so they were trying to ease people into the language of reading the English language as opposed to in print, as opposed to reading it in handwriting. And so many of the printed letters actually were trying to replicate handwriting. And so there were 300 letters in the alphabet at that time. We have since homogenized the letters and distilled them down to 26, what we consider the 26 letters of the alphabet today. And so if you can see that, the alphabet is something that has been changing over time, that it originally was trying to replicate handwriting and is now trying to replicate individual letters. You can see that it is a technology in itself that changes, and it changes the scale, pace, or pattern of our lives, because handwriting was usually used to create a very small number of objects that could be passed around within a small group of people. And with printing, you were trying to reach a much larger group of people. You're trying to create a much more homogeneous, organized kind of language that could reach a larger group of people outside of your own community. And so the fragmenting process he's referring to is the idea that we could distill the alphabet down to these 26 letters, that we could say these are the only 26 letters that all speakers of the English alphabet are going to use, and that if we take these individual letters, the A's, the B's, the C's, and we organize them in certain ways, if we take C-A-T and put them together, that we're all going to think cat, that is something significant. And so it fragments us in that it separated people from one another, and that people who were educated, people who had gone to school, people who had learned that C-A-T means cat. If you've been around somebody who's learning how to read recently, you can recognize how special this power is that we have of reading, because it's a complete mystery to those of us who don't. So it fragments us into groups of people who can read and people who can't read, people who are specialized, who are educated, who can look at a page and see these letters and make meaning out of them, and be detached from them, to think like, oh, of course, that is cat. Cat always means cat. And that we're detached from that. We become detached from that. If you think about how much we take our own reading powers for granted today, you'll maybe come into contact with that. Okay, each one of my videos can only be 15 minutes long, and I'm running out of time, so I'm going to wrap this up here and continue on the next video.